If your identity was stolen, not your name, not your clothes, but your face, how far would you go to get it back? The sun had barely touched the rooftops when the first scream shattered the quiet. Obianuju jolted awake, her heart thudding as if someone had shaken her spirit. At first, she thought it was a dream, until she heard the second scream. Louder, closer, trembling with real fear. She stepped out of her hut, rubbing her eyes, still half asleep. But what she saw froze her breath. A little boy, no older than 6, stared at her with wild eyes. His calabash dropped to the ground and rolled away. Then he turned and sprinted as though chasing the wind. "What's wrong?" Obianuju called, confused. The boy didn't answer. He simply ran, yelling, "She has come! She has come!" Before she could make sense of it, 2 women carrying baskets glanced her way. Their bodies stiffened. One covered her mouth. The other grabbed her friend and whispered sharply, "Don't look at her too long." Obianuju felt her stomach twist. She touched her face instinctively. It felt normal, warm, soft, hers. "Good morning," she tried again, voice shaking. But the women hurried away like the wind behind a storm. Something was wrong. Very wrong. She rushed back into her hut and pushed aside the small mirror her mother had polished for years. The smooth metal reflected the same familiar face. Clear skin, gentle eyes, calm beauty. Nothing strange, nothing scary. "Mama?" she called, breath unsteady. Her mother entered, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Uju, what is it? Mama? Why are people acting strange? They're looking at me like I'm not myself." Amaka frowned and gently touched her daughter's cheek. "You look the same to me." Maybe they are in a hurry. But Obianuju felt it deep in her bones. Something was pulling her life apart like old cloth. She walked toward the stream, determined to understand. The path was lively, birds calling, palm leaves rustling, water murmuring in the distance. Normal sounds, familiar comfort. But the moment she stepped into the clearing, the chatter around the stream went silent. Silent in a way that felt heavy. The girls washing clothes froze. The men fetching water stiffened. Someone whispered, "Don't look at it directly." Obianuju's heart pounded. She knelt beside the stream, leaned over, and looked at her reflection. She screamed, because staring back at her was not her gentle face. It was twisted, harsh, shaped, like something from an old folk tale warning children to behave. Eyes too sharp, nose bent, lips pulled in a crooked line. A face that didn't belong to any human she knew. She stumbled backward, hands trembling violently. No, this is not me." A few people ran. Others simply stared with pity. Obianuju grabbed the nearest tree for balance. Her breath thin, her world spinning. How could this be happening? How could her face vanish while her mirror still showed the girl she grew up knowing? The water never lied. She ran home, tears warming her cheeks. Inside the hut, her mother rushed to her side again. "Uju, talk to me. What is happening?" Obianuju could barely speak. "Mama!" The water shows something else. Something terrible. Something that cannot be my face. Her mother shook her head. "I looked at you moments ago. There is nothing wrong." But Obianuju knew what she saw, and the fear in people's eyes confirmed it. Someone or something had taken her face. And as the evening breeze pushed through the doorway, she felt it deep in her chest. This was only the beginning. For 2 days, Obianuju stayed hidden inside the hut. Every whisper outside felt like it was about her. Every footstep made her heart stumble. She barely ate, barely slept. Her reflection in the mirror still looked normal, but she no longer trusted it. It felt like a stranger pretending to be her. On the 3rd morning, her childhood friend Oakley arrived. Quiet, thoughtful, always watching the world differently. He slid inside the hut with calm footsteps. "Uju," he said softly, "why have you disappeared from the village?" Obianuju looked up slowly. She expected fear in his eyes, but saw none. "You're not afraid of me?" she whispered. Oakley shook his head. "I don't see what others see." Her chest tightened. "What did they see?" He hesitated before answering. "Something different. But I see you, your true self. Tears filled her eyes. Then help me. I don't know what is happening to me. He nodded. Tell me everything. When she finished, Okele remained silent for a long moment, thinking. Finally, he said, There is something I must show you. He guided her out through the back path, avoiding busy areas. They moved through tall grass, the air heavy with quiet tension. After a few minutes, they reached the small market square. Stay behind the hut, Okele whispered. Obianuju hid, her heart beating louder than her footsteps. Moments later, she heard excited voices. She is so beautiful. Where did she come from? Her face shines like morning light. Obianuju froze. That praise felt too familiar. She peeked around the corner. At the far end of the square stood a girl veiled lightly with beads and cloth. Men surrounded her, staring in awe. Women whispered enviously. The girl lifted her veil slightly, and Obianuju's knees weakened. It was her face, her real face, her beauty, her smile, her eyes. Living on another girl, Obianuju stumbled back, pressing a hand to her mouth to keep from crying out. Okele grabbed her shoulders. Easy, I knew you needed to see this. That is me, Obianuju whispered. That is my face. How, why, who took it? Okele's eyes darkened with meaning. I have heard stories from travelers. Stories about someone seeking a new appearance. Someone desperate. Obianuju swallowed hard. Do you know her? No, he said, but I can sense something else. Her spirit and yours are not aligned. There is a break, like two paths forced together. What does that mean? It means she is walking with something that was never hers. Obianuju looked again. At the girl, laughing, glowing, adored. Living the life Obianuju once had. This is not possible, she whispered. Faces cannot be stolen. Okele shook his head. In old stories, they could. Through charms, through envy, through dangerous promises. Obianuju felt anger rise, steady and sharp. Whoever this girl was, she had taken the one thing Obianuju never imagined she could lose. Her identity, her place in the world, her very face. Okele leaned closer. If you are ready, we can follow her. Find out who she truly is. Obianuju wiped her tears, breathing slowly. I am ready. But deep inside, she already knew. This journey would reveal truth she never expected. And recovering her face might change everything she believed about friendship, trust, and the hidden corners of the human heart. Obianuju and Okele trailed the mysterious girl for 2 market days. She moved like someone born to be admired. Slow steps, lifted chin, a confidence that pulled attention the way fire pulls moths. Every time she passed, heads turned. Every time she lifted her veil, hearts fluttered. But Obianuju felt none of that admiration, only a rising storm inside her. They learned her name was Mirinma, a newcomer who claimed she was from a distant village across the river. She lived quietly in a small hut at the far edge of the settlement, away from the busiest paths, and she never, ever removed her veil fully, except when receiving compliments. She hides the face even though she loves the attention, Okele whispered one evening as they watched her from a distance. Strange. Because the face isn't hers, Obianuju said bitterly. For days, Obianuju battled her emotions. She wasn't sure if she wanted answers or justice. All she knew was that seeing her stolen face, laughing on another girl felt like watching someone else live inside her skin. Finally, Okele said, Tonight, we will follow her home. When twilight painted the village gold, Mirinma slipped away from the square and walked toward her hut. Obianuju and Okele stayed low, keeping their footsteps light. The path was quiet except for rustling leaves. Palm fronds bent gently as if observing the unfolding truth. Mirinma entered her hut. A faint glow leaked from the cracks of the door, firelight flickering. Are you ready? Okele whispered. Obianuju nodded, though her heart felt like a talking drum. They approached slowly and peered through a thin opening in the wall. Inside, Mirinma sat before a small carved stool. She carefully lifted her veil. Obianuju gasped softly. There it was, her face, Her soft eyes, her perfect cheeks, her smile, the expression she grew up seeing in mirrors, now shining on someone else. But then something unexpected happened. Mirinma's expression shifted. For a moment she looked exhausted, scared, almost guilty. She touched her cheeks gingerly, as if afraid the face would slip off. "How long will this last?" she whispered to herself. Her voice cracked, trembling between joy and fear. Obianuju felt a shocking moment of sympathy, not enough to forgive, but enough to understand. This wasn't simply theft. This was desperation. Okele leaned close to her ear. "She didn't just steal it. She traded something." "How do you know?" "Her spirit is dim around the edges," he murmured. "She gave up a part of herself for this beauty. A trade always comes with a cost." Suddenly, a soft knock landed on Mirinma's door. Obianuju tenset. Mirinma panicked, pulling down her veil instantly. "Wait!" a voice outside replied. "It is me." A shadow entered, a tall woman, with eyes that glimmered like moonlight on water. Her wrapper was old, but her presence felt powerful, ancient. Obianuju recognized her instantly. Everyone did. The charm maker. The one people whispered about but never dared approach. "You are adjusting well," the woman said calmly, eyeing Mirinma's veiled face. "For now," Mirinma replied, voice thin. "But it burns sometimes. Deep inside. That is the price." Mirinma looked down. "And the original owner?" "She will fade," the charm maker said, shrugging. "Over time, people will forget her." Obianuju's breath caught. "Fade? Forgotten?" Her fist tightened. Even Okele's calm face hardened. He touched her shoulder. "Now we know. But to reverse this, we must face her directly and survive whatever truth she's hiding." Obianuju tore her gaze from the scene inside the hut. Whatever fear she had before turned into steady, unshakable resolve. She whispered, "I'm taking my face back." The next morning, Obianuju woke with a new fire in her chest. No more hiding. No more crying into her wrapper. No more whispering her pain into the night. Okele arrived early, carrying a small bundle of herbs and charcoal. "We confront her today," he said simply. They walked toward Mirinma's hut before sunrise, when the air was cool and the world felt calm enough to face hard truths. Birds hummed softly as if sensing the storm about to break. When they reached the hut, Obianuju didn't knock gently. She pushed the door open. Mirinma gasped and stumbled backward. Her veil slipped, revealing Obianuju's stolen face in the pale morning light. For a heartbeat, no one moved. It was like looking into a strange mirror. Same eyes, same nose, same lips, but worn by someone who didn't deserve them. Obianuju took a step forward. "Give it back," Mirinma's voice quivered. "You don't understand." "I understand enough," Obianuju snapped. "You stole my face, my life, my place in this world." Mirinma shook her head, tears forming. "I just wanted a chance. I was tired of being ignored, of being called plain, of watching everyone admire you while I felt invisible." Obianuju froze. That voice, that pain, that memory. "Who are you?" she whispered. Mirinma lifted her chin. "Someone from your past, someone you forgot." Before Obianuju could answer, the door creaked again. The charm maker stepped in. The air shifted instantly, heavy, cold, powerful. "So," she said, her voice like old wind, "the original owner has come." Okele stood firm. "Reverse it." The charm maker's eyes narrowed. "Reversing a face trade is not simple. It requires more than will. It requires truth." Obianuju frowned. "What truth?" "You must confront the wound that allowed your face to be taken," the woman said. "Jealousy does not grow in silence. It grows where love once lived." Mirinma looked down, trembling. Obianuju's heart raced. "Tell me, why me? Why my face?" Mirinma finally spoke. "Because you were the friend everyone loved, and I was the one they forgot. Even you." Memories rose slowly, like bubbles from deep water. 2 girls playing near the river, sharing roasted plantains. laughing until one day the laughter faded. Obianuju whispered, "Mirinma." The charm maker interrupted. "Enough. If you want your face back, prepare for the ritual." She drew a circle on the ground with chalk and placed 2 calabashes inside it. "One holds the truth," she said. "The other holds the bond between you, Mirinma." Stepped inside the circle first. Hand shaking, Obianuju followed. The charm maker chanted softly, words that felt like echoes of ancient tales. The wind around them swirled, lifting dust into the air. Shadows shifted. Flames flickered inside the calabashes without fire. Then, a sudden pull, a force tugging at Obianuju's skin, her bones, her spirit. Mirinma gasped as her stolen beauty flickered like an unsteady lantern. "Hold your ground," Okele shouted. Mirinma cried out, "It's burning!" "That is the false bond breaking," the charm maker said. The air cracked like thunder. Obianuju felt her real face trying to return, but only one thing stood in the way. Mirinma's final choice. The charm maker turned to her. "If you resist, the ritual will fail, and the consequences will not be gentle." Mirinma looked at Obianuju with shaking hands and tearful eyes. "I don't want to lose it." Obianuju stepped closer, voice steady. "But it was never yours." Their eyes locked. 2 lives, 2 pasts, 1 stolen identity linking them. The ritual crackled again, glowing bright, and Obianuju knew the next moment would change everything. The air inside the hut roared like an unseen storm. Dust circled around Obianuju and Mirinma as if the wind itself wanted to witness the final moment. The charm maker's chants grew louder, deeper, like an ancient river rising after heavy rain. The calabashes glowed brighter. The ground rumbled softly. Mirinma clutched her chest. "It hurts. It hurts too much." Obianuju stepped closer, even as the strange force tugged at her spirit. "Let go. Stop fighting what doesn't belong to you." Mirinma shook her head stubbornly. "I finally felt seen. For the first time, people noticed me. They greeted me. They smiled at me." Her voice broke. "I don't want to return to being forgotten." Her confession pierced something deep in Obianuju. She remembered the girl who used to walk behind everyone because she didn't want to block the path. The girl who gave away her snacks because she thought her presence wasn't enough. The girl who hid her face behind her hair because she believed beauty skipped her. That girl had been her friend. "Mirinma," Obianuju whispered, eyes softening. "You were never invisible. You were hurting silently and I didn't see it. I'm sorry." For a moment the storm paused, as if the world exhaled. Mirinma's tears fell freely now. "I just wanted to feel special." "You are," Obianuju said gently. "But not because of a borrowed face. Because of your heart, your kindness, your courage to survive the loneliness you felt. Give it back and let us try again with truth. Not envy." The charm maker lifted her staff, power humming through the air. "Your decision must be final. The bond is weakening. Choose before it breaks the wrong way." Mirinma closed her eyes tightly. Her breath trembled. The force pulling at her features grew stronger, distorting her expression. The stolen face flickered, beautiful one moment, unstable the next. Okele stepped forward, voice steady. "Let it go, Mirinma. This pain is not your path." Slowly her hands dropped from her face. She looked at Obianuju, really looked, as if seeing her for the first time in years. "I'm sorry," she whispered. The moment the words left her lips, the ground shook. A burst of warm light exploded between them. Obianuju felt her skin ripple, shift, and settle like cool water running back into its rightful bowl. Pain flashed, then faded instantly. Her face, her real face, returned with a gentle warmth, like being welcomed home. Mirinma collapsed to her knees as her borrowed beauty dissolved into the air, leaving her with her true features, soft, simple, delicate in a way that belonged to her alone. The charm maker slammed her staff onto the floor. The glowing calabashes dimmed. The storm inside the hut died. "It is done," she said. Obianuju touched her face gently, tears gathering in her eyes. The familiar shape. The familiar warmth, the familiar spirit within. Mamirinma, she whispered. The girl wiped her eyes and looked up, afraid of what she'd see. Anger, disgust, rejection. But Obianuju knelt beside her. Come here. Mirinma hesitated before leaning into her embrace. Together they cried, a release of years of silence, misunderstanding and hidden wounds. When they finally parted, Okeli stood smiling quietly. The village will see the truth now. The charm maker nodded. But remember, beauty is not what shapes the world. Character is. The face is only a doorway. What matters is the soul behind it. Mamirinma lowered her gaze, humbled. Thank you, all of you,